text heavy is one of the common threads we found in these websites. So there are three industries that basically you need this amount of text, you need this much amount of education in order to get someone to yes, in order to build that trust and credibility, where long form copy in general wins over short form copy. It's real estate, legal, and medical or health. Um, think about this. People are making massive decisions, massive financial and emotional decisions. They're trusting you to buy their house. They're trusting you to follow through. And so this is content marketing 101, everyone. Is you need to answer their questions and be helpful to them. Hey friends, welcome back to another episode of the Carrot Cast podcast. I'm your host, Brady Winder, and I have my guest and teammate with me, Katie. How's it going, Katie?
Hey, good. How are you? Thanks for having me. It's exciting to be here.
Absolutely. I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. Katie, this is your first podcast, so congratulations on that. Tell us what you do behind the scenes at Carrot so that people can kind of know what we're talking about today.
Cool. Thanks. Yeah, I am the lead product designer. So that means that I do a lot of the design of the application itself. If we have a new feature that comes out, for example, we just launched our site differentiation, like website tools, like with new header layouts and things like that. I'm kind of was the mastermind behind those designs. Um, Obviously working with the team, the engineers build it. I sort of do the initial design and what it looks like, and then also meet with members and ask them what they think, do research, send out surveys, things like that. Working on also help with the sales site sometimes too, illustration, graphics, we're a small company, so we wear a lot of hats. But my primary focus is the product design, so the application itself.
And
Yeah.
so when you say product design, you're meaning, like you said, sales site, so Carrot's own website, but also the members' websites. So
Yeah.
Katie is the one responsible for when you get a Carrot site out of the box, you still need to tweak it. We'll talk about that in the podcast, like what you need to do to a Carrot site. But Katie is the reason why a lot of these designs convert out of the box. We do a lot of testing and a lot of design, a lot of research, like you just mentioned, to make sure that these convert instead of just designing what might look cool and then throwing it up on a website.
One of many people working on that. I'm definitely not the only one, but, we've got a great product team with, Cam does a lot of the, data analysis and
Yeah, it takes a team for sure. So what are we talking about today? We're talking about what makes a carrot site convert. So Cam on our team, our data guy, I said, Cam, can you pull up a list of like the highest converting websites in Carrot? So this was a few weeks ago. These are going to be changing because people are modifying their sites all the time. It also depends on the traffic. A lot of factors that go into this, but I said overall, I want to be able to look at some of the highest converting websites in our system and find the common themes with these. We already knew the common themes because Carrot.com. We've been doing this for years. So we have our intuition, we have our tests, we have our data, but I wanted to basically prove it out and make sure that these common traits still existed in the top converted websites in our system. And so we got a list, and I'm going to share 5 of those websites with y'all today. And we broke it down into about 7 or 8 things that these people, these members, these investors are doing to get visitors to convert into leads at a really high rate. So I'll break this down real quick at a really high level, and then we'll kind of tease out these websites. We'll show them to you visually, and then Katie and I are going to talk about what those 7 or 8 things are. One disclaimer, real quick. This is a podcast. This episode specifically is very visual. So if you are listening to the podcast, I would encourage you to go to carrotcast.com or go to carrot.com/convert. Since it's design and conversion month, you can get all our themed content for this month at carrot.com/convert. But go over to the website or YouTube and watch the video with us because we're showing these examples in real time. But anyways, to back up, there's 3 things that kind of you need to have on your website to make sure it converts at a really high level, and then we'll break it down. So one, the structure. Does the flow of the text, the forms, the imagery, are they in the right order? Does it make sense? Is the website easy to navigate? So the structure, is it easy to
Mhm.
navigate? The story, does your copy and the images and the design make a connection with the visitor and help solve their problem? The structure, the story, and then the speed. Does it load fast? because nobody likes a clunky website. People don't have time for that. That's when they'll leave and go to somebody else, even if your website does have the right things. Um, Katie, anything you want to add there? Structure, story, speed. We are talking about
Yeah.
mobile earlier too.
About what?
Mobile.
Oh yeah, mobile first. Mobile's very important. We'll definitely get into that. Yeah, I would say like really the most important thing is make sure that info is clear from the very beginning and that you're thinking of your audience. I mean, you as our, Carrot members know your audience the best. So think about who's going to be looking at the site and what their needs are and making sure that you're addressing those needs as quickly as possible with as little text and as clearly as possible. You really want to make sure that those messages are front and center first thing. They know what you do and how you can help them. I mean, and make it clear. Keep it simple. You don't need to overcrowd things. You don't need to like clutter it up. But yeah, I mean, really, the most important thing is knowing your users of your website, what they need, and making sure you're addressing that as clearly as possible, above the fold, like right then and there.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that with the caveman grunt test. And
Yeah.
we'll also dig into what you said about with as little text as possible, because people might be thinking, "Oh, that means I don't have to have very much text." But we'll dig into that, like answering the
Yeah,
question
I
or the
just mean
problem.
initially and that hero and the
Oh,
form.
up
And
top, yeah.
then you get into the longer form stuff later that's also very important, but yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So structure, story, speed, those are,
Luckily and to speed, we take care of a lot of that for you. So
we're
luckily
fast. We'll link up a
you get
blog
a
post on that. We actually got
yep.
somebody found us a while back. We didn't reach out to them. They found us. They were doing a test of like a bunch of different websites, as far as speed, and found Carrot to be one of the fastest website provider. I'm totally gonna botch what the actual survey or the study was, but we'll link it up. Read the blog
Yeah,
post.
we'll link it up.
Carrot's still wicked fast. So let me share my screen here, and I'm gonna tease out just a few of these websites that we're looking at. What you'll notice, what's interesting about these websites is they might surprise you in how basic some of these are. These are some of these. In fact, let me look at them. Some of these may be concierge or like ones that our team help with, but most of them are stock right out of the box, and then they went and modified them. So like not a bunch of custom code, not a bunch of custom design. So Katie, correct me if I'm wrong on these, but we've got Texan Homebuyer.
Mhm.
We're looking at a yeah, Texas home buyer. We've got We Buy Houses in Pennsylvania. We've got Anchored Sunshine. We have Real Home Solutions. I love the little heart in their logo here. And then we have Mo Buys Homes, previous care camper. Hey Mo, in
Nice. I
Pensacola.
know.
So actually, yeah, none of these appear to be concierge or like custom websites. These are all modified carrot templates.
Yeah, I mean, seeing nice use of hemlock there. That's one of our premium themes on the first one, the first tab, to sell my house. That's a popular one.
Yep.
It's straightforward. They have that kind of value statement right there, without realtors, repairs to make, and the bar there. They have that the very beginning. Just be done with it. That's an
Hmm.
interesting idea. They obviously know that their user is looking to just get rid of it quickly, and they're appealing to that sensibility right off the bat. So that's really good.
Yep.
They've got a simple form. All of these have the big kind of hero image, and they've got that form, and then they've got the button above the fold. What does above the fold mean? It means the first thing you see before you scroll. Um,
Hmm.
and that's really important too. And that's actually a key thing on mobile as well. That's really important. Uh, Big buttons are very in. We actually just launched a new feature. You can change the button size of your form and your hero image. So check it out. Um, Makes it really easy. It's just in the sidebar. Yeah, see, this one's great. Just the very first shot of that hero image, you've got the simple form and you've got the button above that fold, above you don't have to scroll to tap to click on it. And I have an interesting stat for you guys in terms of conversion. We'll get into mobile in a second, but I believe that a very high number of conversions are coming in through the hero. So the more optimized you can make your hero image on your homepage, the better. I don't
And
have that
this is
number.
just to clarify, this is the background image in the header, the top of your website right here.
Yep. just this first view, and that when I say hero, it's that image with the form.
Mhm.
Most conversions on most sites are through this form on your homepage in the hero. So if you're going to focus on one thing when you get started, get that hero image set up, get your form set up, get your logo and your header set up nicely, and get it above the fold. I can't emphasize that enough, especially on
Yep.
mobile. Talking about mobile, actually, I have a stat for you.
Yeah.
60.8% of all carrot conversions occur on mobile. So
Hmm.
that's more than half. And if you look at just general traffic, 54% of traffic across our network occurs on mobile devices. So more than half, 54% on mobile. So don't forget about your mobile view.
Hmm.
You
Yeah,
want to
so
make
the
sure you're
majority
checking
are
your site.
majority are
Yeah.
visiting on mobile, and even larger majority are converting, turning into leads via mobile.
Yes, correct. And we
Hmm.
do have a mobile view in our design area. If you click into your site, like the application, you click on the design tool and you look, you don't have it up right now, but if you look under your headers, where you can like change your header and your font and stuff, there is an option to view it on mobile. So you can kind of check it while you're working on your site too. Although I
Would you
also
recommend having
recommend
those side by side while you're designing, Katie?
you
Or
can
while you're
click back
making it?
and forth on it really easily. It's just at the
Yeah.
bottom corner of the sidebar. You can click between desktop view and mobile view, and
Yeah.
it's real easy in our like in the design area. I'd also look at it on your actual phone too. It's always good to check.
Yeah.
We only have like 2% of traffic on tablet, so you don't need to spend too much time on tablet. Tablet looks mostly like mobile anyway. It has that like hamburger menu that comes out. So
Yeah.
focus on these. And then also, I don't know, should I go through like kind of things we recommend, like play by
Um,
play on here, or do you want to, am I jumping ahead?
yeah. Yeah, let's go through it. So let's break apart those 8 things. So the first one, this is it passes the caveman grunt test. A little disclaimer for anyone who doesn't know what this is. Have you ever heard of that, Katie? The caveman grunt test?
I think so.
So it
Maybe
came
a while
from,
ago.
I heard it from, I'm pretty sure Donald Miller is the one responsible for it. Story Brand Marketing, the Story Brand podcast. Donald Miller is a really great, simple, simple marketer, simple-minded marketer. I mean that in like the best way possible. But basically, in 5 seconds, so imagine I pull up mobiishouses.com, and in 5 seconds, it should be able to tell me, um, what do I offer? Or it should be able to tell the viewer, what do I offer? How does it make their life easier? And how do they take action? So if you get really deep into that, look at this first line on this website: to sell my house fast and be done with it.
Yeah.
And so the logo and that one statement right there, and plus the button, it does that. So the logo and the first line of the website, that's telling them what you offer. And then be done with it is really key. That's something you can't miss, because you could just say, we buy houses in San Antonio, Texas, like, or whatever city. There's a lot of websites that do that, and there's nothing wrong with it. But if you can also communicate how it makes their life easier, be done with it, like that, whoa, that
Mhm.
stress is gone. That's huge. And then how do you take action? The button and the phone number are both visible in 5 seconds.
Yeah, it's clear. It's right there at the very beginning. I do love that be
Yeah.
done with it, right? Because
Yeah.
thinking of your user, like who's looking at your website, who's your target customer, they're maybe overwhelmed, they're tired of dealing with this property, you know, there's a lot of frustration and, like, pain oftentimes that we hear about, of
Yeah.
our members' clients, right?
Yeah.
So that "be done with it" does kind of convey this, like, end to the stress, right? I like that, it's really powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting, like they all have that in common. And it's like, we're talking about design and conversion. You might think it's way more complicated. Like there must be so many things they're doing on their website. A lot of it comes down to like doing a few of the right things and then having that copy really, really resonate with them. Like we do the
Yeah,
work so you don't have to. Anchored Sunshine says, sell my house fast. That's funny. San Antonio, Texas. We get a lot of members in Texas. You're looking for a quick, fair cash offer for your home. So they don't really say how it makes their life better. I mean, besides the fact that it's a fair cash offer. So um, take the first step in becoming a homeowner. This one is a little bit of a different approach.
different.
They're going
Mhm.
after buyers and sellers with one website. We'll dig into this one too. That one's really unique. And then sell your house fast for cash in Pensacola. No repairs, no agents. Get a cash offer from a trusted home buyer. fair and free, no pressure cash
No
out.
pressure, that's good. The other one, go back to the second tab. What I like about this one, it has that sell as is, any condition, no repair. Like, you're getting that up front and center. Like, you don't have to do any of these things. Like, they answer that
Mhm.
question right off the bat in that hero space. I think that's really powerful too.
Yeah, yeah, and that's not as common. A lot of people wait till, like, later down on the homepage to include that, but, yeah, he's got a killer website. So that's a anything else on the caveman grunt test?
I think it's good. And one thing I will say that I think helps the caveman grunt test is keeping it simple. And we do recommend 5 or fewer menu items in your main menu there, which kind
Mm,
of helps kind of declutter the whole thing. So it kind of shows your message faster too. Like this one's good because there's only, I think,
3.
3 or 4. Don't clutter the space. Keep it clear so that your message shines through and the call to action shines through. You don't
Mm,
need a million. This one I would recommend maybe removing. I mean, they might have a
yeah.
reason, but maybe if
This
a little too many menu items here.
It's funny 'cause before we hit record on the podcast, I was pulling these tabs up to prep for the podcast, and this was the only one I got lost on. I was trying to find their about page, and usually you'd expect
Mhm.
about page to be in the top right or towards the end
Yeah.
bar. It was in the middle, and my eyes were just missing it. But yeah, the rest
Mhm.
are pretty
This
simple,
one's
3 or
great.
4.
See, less is more. And they
Yeah.
also have that the sell your house is highlighted. We have a new feature called highlight first last menu item where
Mm,
you can make the first or the last item. So it could be our company there or the sell your house be highlighted with a button style, which also makes it stand out. And we recommend your primary conversion page be the one that you highlight.
mm.
So they're utilizing that kind of styling, which is another great thing to do.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really cool.
But
I
again,
like
keep it simple, don't clutter the space too much, keep your menu simple and keep that kind of conversion stuff front and center, which is the strong messaging and your form and your call to action button.
Yeah. Okay, so that's the second one is the form. What
Okay,
about
yeah,
the
let's try that.
form needs to happen to be high converting? The one common thread that I'm seeing that's really obvious is you get a wide, large button, which we just mentioned. We just,
Yep.
some of these are done with custom code, but we just introduce it as a feature. So keep your eyes out for that.
Yeah, it's available now. It basically just you can choose small, medium, large, and the text is kind of like your basic text size. It gets bigger and then it gets really big like this. In the button, it's very easy. It's just a selection option in the sidebar. But yeah, I mean, what they're doing right is they've got 3 or fewer form fields. There's not a lot of text on the form. It's very clear what, needs to go in there, and we do have it set up, with the labels and stuff that are easy, out of the box. Our forms are pretty easy to use, like, as you need them to be,
Hmm.
so don't mess with them too much. And yeah, 3 or fewer, and these are kind of the main kind of types of forms that we see: the address, phone number, email. We have the two-step forms that you can do, um, as well, but you don't wanna have too many options of the forms to start with. You don't wanna have that friction. You don't wanna make them feel
Hmm.
overwhelmed. They have to fill everything out right off the bat. Like, keep it easy for your member to, like, fill out their information. The other thing they're doing right, again, is that big, bright button. There's not a lot of data on, like, what colors convert the best, but what we do know is that, contrast converts the best. So, I would
Yeah.
even recommend on the second one that you just showed
Yeah. Yeah.
the blue button, I would recommend a brighter button there,
Yeah.
because it kind of blends in with the background. Bright colors are really the way to go. Oranges, yellows, reds, pinks, they pop out. Usually, when you think of a design perspective, bright colors come out of the background, and cool colors recede into the background. So,
Mm,
bright colors have a high active energy to them. Cool colors have a cool calming energy. So, on your carrot site, you're trying to get someone to take action urgently. So a bright color is going to suit that better. So again, orange, red, yellow. We have some sites with like hot pink buttons that look great. Don't be afraid to use pink. It's a
yeah.
good color. Yeah, if you think Amazon has yellow buttons, they've tested that for so many years. Yellow does really well as well. Just make
Oh
sure
yeah.
if you use yellow, the tricky thing about yellow is that your text is black on the yellow, so you have contrast. That's another really important thing. You wanna make sure that
Mm,
everything's very legible, um, and that you don't lose that with your button. We do have tools built into Carrot that will change the text color based on the background color to meet
mm.
contrast standards, like, so that it is easy to read. But
Mm.
just, make sure you do a check of that too, like, you don't want your text to be hard to read over an image and stuff either. This one, the text is very legible, so that's good.
Yeah, yeah. That all makes sense. Needs to be super clear, it needs to be contrasting. We have members with, like, pink buttons on their websites as well.
Mhm,
I wanna say Christina Ortega with, Miss Property Solutions has a pink button, or at least pink on her website.
mhm.
It works as long as it stands out.
Yeah, just make it stand out. I mean, if you have, like, a green button or something, that's fine if that's your brand. Just make sure that everything else on the site isn't also green. Make
Yep.
sure that it's a different color. Here you've got the blue in the logo, you've got the blue in the background, but the orange really pops, right?
Yeah.
So, just make sure there's that contrast, visual contrast. They know, you want your members to know this is a button you can click. So
Mhm.
it needs to stand out and be emphasized.
Yeah, absolutely. Third thing, so credibility. So I don't think we really mentioned this in the beginning of the podcast when we were talking about story, structure, and speed, but really part of that story and part of that structure is building trust and credibility on your authority hub on your website. And so when you're represented, say, hey, I'm going to give you a cash offer, uh, there's skepticism. Like, can they really do this? And so the next logical thought in a seller's brain is, can they do this? Are they legitimate? Is this a scam? I mean, most of you, if you've been in the industry for any length of time, you know these objections. So your website needs to do a good job of crushing those objections and building trust and credibility.
Yeah.
So one of the common themes we found is boom, right after the hero section, right below the fold, as we'd call it, credibility bars. They are building credibility. This one just comes right out the gate. Mo says, a buyer for your house that you can trust in all caps. My offers always close and I never renegotiate. It's just
Mhm.
super open and honest.
And a
I like how
photo of
personal
him.
it is. Yeah. Yeah. It's a good photo. Is,
And
want it to be.
yeah, quick note about photos too. Well, I'll let you finish your
Yeah.
sorry.
No, that's fine, that's fine. So yeah, credibility bar there. He did that one with text, but this other one, he did a video in his credibility bar. Rent to own programs mentioned in CNBC, Fox Business. So those ones I personally take up a little bit of issue with if you personally weren't mentioned in the news, um, but I can see how this is lending credibility to his service. He's saying this is a legitimate service. This isn't
Yep.
something I made up. I'm not selling snake oil. So I get this
Yeah.
use case.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, think about it. If you're gonna go buy a product on a site and you are looking at the reviews and they just seem sort of fake, or there doesn't seem a lot, like, you go to the about page of a site and you're reading about the company and it seems sort of generic, like, you might not buy that product, right? It might seem maybe a little bit scammy, or you don't know, like, about the company, maybe they don't seem that trustworthy. Like, you need to make sure you're on your site and you need to make
mhm,
sure that it is personalized to you and localized. All of these things add up to make your site seem legitimate. People that are, like, freaked out trying to sell a house they wanna get rid of, maybe not in a good state, they need to see, like, a friendly face. They need to see that you are a real person, and the more that you can do to kind of convey that, the better. The more trust that you'll be, kind of showing in your site. A lot of our, like, high converting sites, they don't even use stock photos. I mean, and a lot of sites, like, you wanna see, like, a really pretty design with, like, a sleek stock photo like Apple or whatever, but that's not your market, right? Your
right.
market's totally different. So, you're looking for people that wanna see real stuff,
Yeah.
genuine companies, that are successful, that have met with other people like your clients, that have gotten rid of, you know, houses that are burdening them in some way. So, like, videos of you
Hmm.
shaking someone's hand, video, like, a lot of our members like to put pictures of themselves and their spouse to kind of show there's, like, a family kind of values
Hmm.
there. Real photos of you that you took in your iPhone, not stock photos, not glossy headshots.
Right. Which
It's
is
different.
funny. Before we hit record on the podcast, so I was looking at these two websites and I'm like, oh snap, these are both the same, both the
Yeah,
same
see,
header
this is
image.
something else. Local photos, like,
Yeah.
find an image of your area and use it in your hero. Don't use just a generic house. And if you're looking for motivated sellers, like, have it be maybe not a super nice house, like something that resonates with your viewer.
Hmm.
And we can't emphasize that enough. Like, localization of your photos is one of the most important things you can do on your
Yeah.
site. You can find, like, photos of neighborhoods and stuff on stock photo websites, but what would be even better is if you have a photo of a house that maybe you did a deal on, like,
Right.
in a neighborhood you work in that maybe even
Yeah.
has I mean, this one's good because it shows, like, a beach and stuff, right? So you know that
Yeah.
we're okay,
It's
we're in Florida, right?
right. It's
That's
obviously
better.
local.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's better than, like, just a random house site. Like, something of your neighborhood, something that at least looks like the area you're in, like, if you are in the mountains, have it be photos of mountains, don't have a photo of palm trees if you're in Montana, that kinda thing. Just make
Mhm.
sure that it it doesn't look like a template anymore, right? You need to put
Right.
those photos in, and it's pretty I mean, that's you can get those photos easily, and it's
Right.
worth the extra, hour or 2 that it might take for you to find an image. It doesn't even have to look like, you don't want it to be low res, like, make sure it's, like, large enough to fill the space, but
Yeah.
and not be pixelated. You want your site to look professional, you want it to look clean, but more important than any of that is that local photo.
Yeah.
And not cheesy stock photos, like, we all know kind of what a cheesy stock photo looks like when we see it. That takes
Right.
away legitimacy as well.
Yeah, obviously local. If you're in South Carolina, you better have a single story brick ranch style home
Yeah,
with a little white
exactly.
wooden chair rocking chair on the front porch. Like,
Yep.
yeah.
Maybe needs a little work done on it. I mean, you know your clients better than anyone, so
Mhm.
choose something that would resonate with them.
Yeah. There's no excuse to have like all stock photos on website. Y'all are taking pictures of houses every single day on your
Yeah.
phone. Let's see. Okay, so next thing, we're number 3 out of 8. So number 4, explains the process step by step, keeping the benefits for sellers obvious. We'll run through this one. This one's pretty simple and straightforward. This is something that Carrot does really well out of the box. It gives you the structure. Then you would just go in and tweak it to your taste, make it personal to your business. But our home buying process is as easy as one, two, three. Like you have to, especially with like a decision this big, this complicated, with this much mystery, you need to break it down into simple steps that people can understand. Um, yeah, every
Mhm.
single one of these websites. Visit our How Our Works page, learn more about us, request an all cash offer. Um,
Yep.
Pros and cons of selling with or without a realtor is something you'll find through these sites. Step one, contact us. Step two, we make an offer. Step three, get your cash. If you
Yep.
see this on a Carrot website and you think, oh, maybe I don't need this, maybe it's too much, do not take that out.
Yeah,
It's not
don't
going to
remove
convert.
it. It's there for a reason.
Yeah. So
Add more, add your local info, like, make it unique to you, that's really important, but don't remove this type of stuff either. It's really critical. Um, that kind of compelling, like, don't leave any questions on the table. If
mhm,
someone's scrolling through your site and they have concerns or questions or objections, you wanna try to make sure you're addressing all of those because they're
yeah.
more likely to convert if you do, because you build that authority in your market, you build that credibility, and, they're
Mhm.
less likely to maybe start looking for a different solution. Maybe they don't wanna have to, like, get more information from you, they wanna just know it all right off the bat, and then they
Right.
can enter their info in.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, if you're someone who, like, maybe you're not a fast typer, maybe you have a hard time communicating through text, but you have a really good sales process. If you're more of a face-to-face salesperson, talk to someone else, maybe your spouse, your business partner, someone on your team, and explain to them your sales process, and then have them reverse engineer it, translate it, put it on your website. Like this person, realhomesolutions.org, he's got a little bit of a different approach towards sellers and buyers, but step one, apply for home ownership. Step two, design, meet with your home buying advisor. Step three, shop for your new home. And then step four is home ownership. So it's geared towards buyers, but it's still really easy to digest both through text and visually. It's all moving forward. So that one's a little more obvious. Number 5. So text heavy is one of the common threads we found in these websites. So this is a biggie. We get this a lot. Is we get people, coming to Carrot or leaving Carrot saying, Carrot websites, there's just way too much text. They're way too clunky. There's too much on them. These are the top at the time we pulled these, the top 5 highest converting websites out of all Carrot websites. We have over 7,000 members. Look how much text is on these pages. It's insane. And so I think this is worth digging into because there are 3 industries that where basically you need this amount of text, you need this much amount of education. in order to get someone to yes, in order to build that trust and credibility, where long form copy in general wins over short form copy. It's real estate, legal, and medical or health. Um, think about this. People are making massive decisions,
Yeah.
massive financial and emotional decisions. They're trusting you to buy their house. They're trusting you to follow through. And so this is content marketing 101, everyone. Is you need to answer their questions and be helpful to them. And so
Yep.
it takes a lot of text to do that. So if you're looking at carrot websites, even if it's not a carrot website, if you're a real estate investor and you're thinking, I just need to slim this down, it's different if you're an agent and you're only going after buyers. It's a little bit different,
Yeah.
but this still applies. If you're thinking, I just need to make this really clean and really aesthetically pleasing, it needs to be aesthetically pleasing, but that's not the main goal. So the main goal is you got to answer their questions, build trust, and build credibility, and that happens to take a lot of text. Now, that doesn't mean you got to be
Mhm.
wordy because none of these, you're not finding like huge run on sentences. You're not finding any rambling. It's clear and concise and to the point. But somebody looking to sell their house to an investor for cash has a lot of questions. So you have to
Yeah, I
answer
mean,
those.
use clear titles, organize it well. But, this actually reminds me of have you I'm sure you've mentioned this analogy that Trevor's talked about before on the podcast, the
Mhm.
bats in your attic,
Oh, yeah. Yeah. The bats.
right?
Worst website ever. So terrible.
Yeah, but, like, it did the job. Like, the
Yeah.
idea is, like, if you're in a situation that is stressful or if it's, like, a huge transaction, again, you also mentioned legal and medical, there's people are under duress, there's big challenges or problems. If you're searching for something online to help you, like, for example, you have bats in your attic. So I don't know if you'll be I don't know if you can find it. Like, you wanna click onto that page, and you want it to give you every single piece of information you can get about it. You are in a state of, like, maybe panic or you're nervous. You wanna read as much as possible. Like, you wanna know. I mean, I bought a house that was in, like, a pretty rough state, and I was reading a lot about just, like, pest control, and I, like, did a deep dive into it, right? Like, you wanna get that
Mhm.
information, and you want it as clear and you want as much of it as possible. Don't leave stuff off the table, like, get that info out there, right? And so,
Yeah.
I just thought I love that story, I can't remember when he told us that story, but
It was a while
that's
back. And
really
I was
important.
Yeah, I was really hoping that the website would show up number 1 in Google when I searched it because it did way back, but it was the world's ugliest website, and Trevor used it to solve his bat problem at his house.
Yeah, I mean, it was really helpful. I mean, don't get me wrong, you want your site to look professional, you want it to be clean and easy to use, like, usability is important, right? But really what your brand is really more important even than that, your text, like, the info that you're providing, I mean, all of it kind of goes together in, like, a big holistic piece, right? So, I'm not
Yeah,
saying go make your site be ugly, that's not really even the issue, it's just make sure that your site is usable and that the information on your site is helpful.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it it's if you ask Trevor, if you ask myself, any copywriter, any good copywriter, how much text do I need to have? How long does it need to be? They'll tell you as long as it needs to be. Same thing with
Yeah.
a movie or a video. It's like as long as it needs to be to answer the question or to solve the problem.
Yeah.
That's it, you know? And real estate transactions, it takes a lot of educating, takes a lot of building trust and credibility. So don't look at a website and think, I just need to clean it up and make it really clean and slick. That's not the main goal.
No.
Number where are we at? Number
Number
72?
72.
Number six. Number
That
six.
I know, I'm kinda, like, blurring these together, sorry. I mean, there's a lot of overlap.
That's okay. Number 6, we talked about this one, so we'll kind of skim through the next two here because we've covered them a bit, but extremely localized, local photo in the header. One of the other notes I made was having a state in the logo. I've seen in some of these can be helpful or something
Mhm.
to build that locality, I guess what you would say, into your
Mhm.
logo. Um, and then let's see, other cities or counties mention a link to landing pages. Okay, so this is, I'm not going to go really deep into this because this could totally become a
It's a whole
conversation.
other
Yeah, like
podcast, yeah.
this is SEO strategy and we could go real deep. But what you'll find is, and part of this is carrot out of the box, but linking to your other location pages from the homepage. And so we buy houses in Spring, Texas. the different counties, cities, areas that you buy homes.
Mhm.
This one didn't do it. See, there was another one on here. This is kind of a popular SEO strategy with our members. You've got all these different sections. Buy my house cash, San Antonio, and then all of the cities listed. Sell my house fast, San Antonio. And then you've got individual pages for these linked out. So
Mhm.
this is an SEO strategy. We know what our members are doing here. But it also helps for credibility and conversion. It's like, San Antonio, Texas, like you buy houses in Church. I happen to live in San Antonio. I grew up there, so I know that Church is right outside San Antonio. I'm like, oh, okay. They actually know the area. They took the
Yeah.
time to say we work in all these different little areas because not every investor does.
Mhm.
So
And that
it's
also
SEO.
adds to credibility and legitimacy too. Makes you look like,
Mhm.
okay, you know what's up in your area. You're an expert. You're aware of these different regions. It adds all to that, it's another piece of the puzzle that makes you look like you're a trustworthy business.
Yeah, absolutely. Same thing goes if you're an agent too. You want to know, like, I don't want an agent who just, can find me a home in San Antonio. I want an agent that knows the neighborhoods that I'm interested in, the neighborhoods in the specific areas. So that was another common thread we found in the five of these. And then number 7 crushes objections, either indirectly or directly. And so that's pretty obvious if you go look at any of these websites. Um, some of them even go as far as having sections like, "Is this a scam?" Let me pull up the example because I found one that did this like very obviously indirect. Pull this up real quick. Okay, here we go. What does as is mean? What does an all cash offer mean? How fast can closing be? Will I get a low ball offer? Is this even legit?
Yep.
They put it in the most
Yeah.
simplistic terms.
Be clear. I mean, people are going to be thinking those things if they haven't done this before,
Mhm.
and it's really good to address them right off the bat and not lose that lead potentially.
Yeah, I like that. This is really good copywriting. It's just sometimes we can really easily overcomplicate it and think we need to sound a certain way, be super professional. Like the best way to write good copy that converts is to speak in their language, is to say what they're thinking.
Mhm.
And like Katie said, put those objections out there. Number 8, and then we're gonna wrap it up. Um, Irrefutable about pages. So real names and photos. You can see the people that make the business and they don't have anything to hide.
Yep.
So none of these top converting websites that our members have are going to be hiding behind just the business name. They are personable. They are putting their face out there, which means they are okay with their business, the way they're doing business, their ethics, and they're passionate about what they do and they want to share that with people because they believe and they have conviction in the service that they offer. So you're going to find that these are all personable. Um, and it happens to be the first example I click on is probably the worst example for an
Yeah,
about
this
page
one
out of the
this one
five.
has some improvements. This one, on the other
Yeah.
hand, is much better.
Yeah, this one's good. He's got his face on here. Let me go to the about page. About us.
Oh, yeah, here we go. Yep.
Boom.
Front and
Ryan David.
center.
I see a lot of people put just their first name. That drives me nuts. I'm like, why are
Yep.
you worried about them finding you on Facebook? If that's the concern, like go delete your sketchy Facebook posts or don't put weird stuff on Facebook if they're gonna Google you. Because they
And
probably
links
will.
off Yeah, and then links off to reviews,
Mhm.
and that's really important. I did do a conversation with Beth on really great what makes a great testimonial. It's in the
Mhm.
community. I'll see if maybe we could link that up too, but,
Yeah.
including those reviews that are like, on a legitimate site and linking off to those or what as well just adds to the credibility.
Yeah.
Um But yeah, again, realistic looking photo of you. I've seen even better about pages that have more info. I think you had one that had like, yeah, see there with a spouse.
Oh
Um
yeah. Where are
you
we?
look like it's a family business. There's a video on one of them, which actually reminds me I have a stat about videos too that I want to
Oh
share.
yeah. Throw it out there. And
Let
while
me
you're sharing that, I'm gonna pull up the other about pages that we have because there's some good ones here.
Okay, this is hot off the presses from Cam, our product analyst. So, generally, our overall conversion rate is somewhere between 2.86 and 3.5%. If you add a video to your site and a user starts it, the conversion rate goes up to 3.69%. And if the user or your client watches the full video, the conversion rate goes up to 5.2%. So all the more reason to add videos onto your site, and videos that are appealing, that someone might get value from. So, your about page is a good place to put a video. Testimonial videos are really the best way to go. If you can do testimonial videos, really helps with conversion.
Yeah,
That
absolutely.
Better Business Bureau is great. That actually adds to the credibility as well.
Yeah, there
Um, you
was
know,
one of these that had video. Yeah, so this one, oh, it's the same website. They had that testimonial video down below, but he's got a 7.5 minute long video right below the header, right below the hero section of his website. I actually watched this video before the podcast, and he's super calm and collected and does a really good job of just explaining his service to people. I thought that was awesome, and it's
yeah,
not
you want to
fancy.
see the person that you're going to be dealing with.
Yeah, exactly. They do. And so on that note, I'm going to pull up two or three honorable mentions that they weren't in the list of highest converting websites. These are members that we work with. They generate SEO leads consistently. They're closing lots of deals consistently. Home buying guys. They've got a really cool brand. They're a little bit different. What do you like about this, Katie?
Well, I mean, they're in their, they are the brand, like they're the home buying guys, right? So that's great. You know right off the bat kind of who you're dealing with. And they have a consistency to their brand throughout the site. This isn't something that you have to do in terms of like having fancy illustrations of yourself and your team, but having just a consistent brand where you maybe have a logo that has your location in it with like Brady mentioned, maybe your state. You don't even have to have a fancy logo like this. Just have a sense of what your brand kind of represents and have like a good color scheme that you use throughout your site. Your logo can be simple. It can even be something as simple as like a text-based logo. It doesn't have to have an illustration in it. If you think of like brands like Uber or whatever, it's just text, right? And then the way you can bring your brand into the site throughout is photos of yourself, photos of your location, your strong brand colors, maybe using consistent fonts throughout. But they do a good job of kind of having that idea of there's these little illustrations of them that makes them seem really friendly, and it makes
Hmm.
them seem very approachable. And I think that's kind of what their brand is. So if that's
Yeah.
it's cool to kind of think of like what are a few like statements I would like my brand to represent. Friendly and approachable are probably two really good ones in our industry. So if there's any way you can kind of convey those things in your brand, great. Bright colors, you know, consistency throughout the site makes you seem more legitimate. And
Hmm.
as you can see, they kind of pull that throughout the site.
Yeah.
And they just kind of seem like nice guys, right? Like looking at this, like they seem friendly, they're smiling, like you would
Yeah.
maybe feel more likely to, oh, okay, I know who I'm dealing with right off the bat. So
Right. Well,
it
and
has
for
a nice
context,
positive.
like, yeah, if for context, they're in Dallas. And so Dallas is super competitive, like saturated market. And they had to find a way to win. So one of the ways they did that was by going hybrid. So
Hmm.
Adam or Lance, I can't remember who. I think Adam has his license, as an agent. So they use the hybrid model, but they had to figure out a way to stand out and differentiate themselves. If you're in a smaller market, you might
Yep.
not need to do this. A
Hmm.
simple logo and a few real photos might do the trick. But they were like, "We're in Dallas. You got to stand out." And
Yeah, that's
especially
really
on their
smart.
about page. Yeah.
Hmm.
And, like, if you ever been to the South, you know that, like, people in the South like to tell their life story, and they wanna hear your life story, like, conversations are longer, more personal, and so, um, yeah, the
Yeah, I mean,
about
I think
pages look
it's
like that.
it's really good. We have a there's a quote, let's see. I think they do a good job of that, like knowing your client base, knowing your location, knowing your region, knowing like what drives your customers, and like you said, they do a good job of that. They're, being in the South, they have those family stories, pictures of their families that appeals to the people in that area. So thinking of your target client and what they wanna see and what would be appealing to them is something that they do really well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I love their site. I think it's a really good example. Um, one more and then we'll wrap it up. Let's see. Oh, we already shared that one. Daniel Kong in Hawaii. So he, I think, is in Honolulu. Can't remember where he's at, but a lot of investors in Hawaii. You might not think, but there are. Daniel's doing really well with SEO, and he's got one of the best about pages I've seen. Not because of the design or the layout, but because he did something different. he introduced his whole team. Let's meet our team of home buyers. Daniel and the chief problem solver. I think that's big, saying what you do, because like
Mhm.
people are really skeptical. It's like, okay, is this actually the person that's going to buy my house? What do they do? Do they just put a fake face on here? Um,
Mhm.
he's got literally his entire team: the designer, operations manager, office manager. So that if you're probably gonna, talk with one of these people during the process, you can kind of make the connection.
Mhm.
Uh, Local news bit, and then
That's
he's even
cool.
got his interns on here. And then
Mhm.
he's tying it back to his mission. Our internship program is one of the ways we get to invest in the next generation. So he's got students. I
Very
think that is
cool.
just really cool.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
gives you a better picture of the business and again, makes them seem trustworthy, credible, all the things that you wanna have on your site.
Yeah. Absolutely. Um, so that is it. 8 things. That might sound like a lot. It might be overwhelming. I think I'd probably summarize this by saying, like, just be open and honest, be transparent about your business, what you do, try to be clear, be concise. Don't try to be anything that you're not, and just err on the side of more information. Uh, Clean design, good looking design, high contrast buttons, some of those principles that we talked about, but err on the side of more information instead of less, which is what most industries go against. They will tell you differently. Like, you need a clean website. Like, Squarespace stock websites is the last thing you want in this industry. So that's
Yeah, I
what I
mean,
think. What do you
we're
think,
not
Katie?
it's your members are not people buying things from Apple. You
Yeah.
know, they're in a different situation. So just being aware of who is using your site and catering to them is like the most important thing.
Yeah.
And then make it personal. Get yourself on your site, put those personalized location-based images on your site. Don't be afraid to like put photos of yourself, photos of you working on projects, photos of you meeting with happy customers. Like those are the things that are really going to boost your site
Mm,
above other sites.
yeah. Absolutely. Well said. Well, that's all we got. Everybody listening, in case you missed it at the beginning, you can go to carrot.com/convert to get all of our best content around design and conversion, including some of the things we've talked about, like how to get great testimonials on your website. So we've got a lot of really good resources for you there, carrot.com/convert. But otherwise, if you like this, share with a friend, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. We'd really appreciate that. And we will see you on the next episode. Thanks, Katie.
Thanks.
Bye, everyone.